Alright, so all we did right now, Corey, is basically draw a square, pick up the layers, and activate the solid monitor under features, right? Alright, so from this point, we're gonna revolve, right? Remember, if I go 1.5 and I revolve, that's 3 inches total, correct? So, and I'm gonna go ahead and change my tools, get my hot pink going on, options, group lines. Alright. So like Corey, go to point, and then in Cartesian, on X put -12, and on Y put positive 1.5. Enter.
-12 and 1.5.
Yeah, hit enter. See how I made that dot? Alright, look, like Corey's auto, so get the square now and drag that dot from here to over here.
Alright.
So Corey's is showing like the stock material of the lathe, right? I don't know if y'all went over this through intro, correct? But if I hit Control M, that turns on my mask, right? So here, if I go to details, lathe stock, if I unclick that, it should go away, right?
What about the chuck? Is that in there too?
So there should be.
Because the yellow stock went away, but then the green chuck's still in there.
So lathe stock. That's not gonna be on there.
Yeah, I think, cause you had already worked on that, right?
Yeah, it's brand new. I just opened brand new.
You just opened it? I don't know why that came up then.
Because I hit this
Oh,
solid.
he went to the solid,
the solid turn.
solid turn. That's why.
Oh, okay.
I mean, which we are gonna be under solid turn.
I'll just wait till we get to that point.
So, lathe stock. Oh no, wait, we're gonna be under mill.
Yeah,
Oh, this is mill?
yeah, cause we're doing the holes.
There we go. We're good. All's well.
Yeah, so this is what we're gonna be using, guys. This wrap drilling, wrap contouring, and everything like that. We're gonna use that for doing the live tooling. All right.
Okay, so we're on mill then, not
Yeah,
lathe.
we're on mill.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm gonna just exit off on my mask. Hit F11 to turn on my layers again. Right. I'm gonna highlight my feature. Now look up here real quick, guys, because some of you guys have questions about this yesterday. I'm gonna hit revolve boss cut. So by default, angle comes on at 90, right? We want to hit 360 on there. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna show you the feature all the way around 360, correct? If we leave it on 90, only 90 degrees of it's gonna come out. 180, only half of it, right? 270, 3/4 of it. 360 is gonna do the whole thing, correct? So now, what it's saying on the bottom one, select axis. Select what axis we're gonna turn this feature on. Does that make sense? So if I have a feature that has a bore and is coming up and everything like that, this X line can still be used and you're still gonna click the X line. Because if I click, like let's say this one, it's gonna do the 360 on this, right? So since I'm gonna put it here though, it's gonna sit true to the machine on the spindle center. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna click select axis. Now it's telling me right here, select center rotation, right? So I'm gonna click that line. Now, since I just opened this up, I could see that these green lines came in, right? But why can't I see my drawing? Because of my shaded view. It's not activated, correct? So if you do that and you're like, I'm doing it and nothing's happening. There it is, right? So since it's our first solid, we don't have to put activate solid. We leave it blank, right? Then we're gonna hit OK. So there it is, right? So since we made this one on the part solid, if I check that out, it goes away. Comes in, goes away. Right? That easy.
Where's my Geo though? My Geo's gone.
I don't think you made it because we already had ours.
No.
So quiet here today.
Because we're just scanning in here.
The mustache ain't talking. Alright, now, just as we said earlier, guys, there's different ways of doing this, right? So typically, normally, the way that they would show you to do it is go back to unbounded geometry, create that point, and then on X, go -2, right? On, times 2. -2 on the X, right? And it's just gonna take you right there, correct? So if I do that, oh, look, I'm on the part solid, right? So if I click it though, it's there, but I can't see it because it's on the part solid, right? So I'm gonna highlight Geo, take off part solid, then do it again. So -2, apply, there it is, right? But if I turn on my solid, it's still in the center of the part, right? It's on the X-axis, but it's inside of the feature, right? Dead center of it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few ways of working this out. I can just unclick it, click that point, right click, copy, translate it. So I'm gonna move it on Z. How much?
125.
1.5, right? Enter. So you see how I moved it up? And even if I put on my part now I know that it's there, correct? Or the most faster way, guys, but you gotta know what you're doing, because
Or better.
yeah, you could confuse yourself, right? Let's click that point, go X -2, and on this Z. So this is for X, this is for Y, and this is for Z, correct? So on that Z, put 1.5 there, and it automatically brings it up, right? So that's the faster way of doing it, correct? So you can do it any way you want, but as we said earlier, as long as it's there, that's what matters, all right?
I don't get it. Mine's not in there. So watch. -2. No, that's
the
on
inside
0.
one.
In fact, I go up.
It's not gonna go up as Y, it's gonna go towards you. So it might be where it's at right now, but I'm saying,
Okay.
yeah.
Wait, that is towards me.
Yeah.
Where's the other one?
That 1.5 brings it towards you.
Yeah, so X is left to right, Y is up and down, Z is towards you and away from you, correct?
Z is up and down, right?
Well, if I'm looking at it
That's
like
like
this,
copy.
right? Now, remember, it's not just like the same, on the actual mail, yes. Your X is this way, Y, the table goes this way,
looking
and
down.
your Z goes up and down,
I'm
right?
looking down at the part.
Yeah, but if I'm looking at it on eSprit, this is X, this is Y, and Z is coming towards you and away from you, correct? So we gotta kind of switch our mind
Kind of looking down
to
at it.
understand, yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Pretend you're an angel hovering above,
Floating.
looking down.
Your little wings flapping.
Yeah, your little ponytail spinning really fast, holding you up. Alright, so after that, really guys, we could just make this point rotate, right? Because when I do my P-top, all I gotta do is click the points, correct? And then whatever drill I pick, that's gonna show the actual drill that it goes in there, the feature, right, on the simulator. But if we wanted to do the circles, okay, too easy. Draw the circle, bring it here. That's what, a 1 inch?
Yeah, 0.5, so.
0.5 for the radius, right? And there it is. I'm a big fan of just putting the point there, right? Especially since in eSprit you could pick different tools to follow the same p-top, right? So if I'm doing this in real life, I'm putting a center drill first. And if I'm messing with ink canal, I'm making a pilot hole, right? And then after that, I'm using the drill, the end mill, whatever I need to take it to the sides, right? Because we gotta think about it in real life, guys. If I have this 12-inch part sticking out, I'm actually putting a tailstock in the front of it too, right? To support it between centers, correct? And if I'm just using an end mill, but it's ink canal, oh, there ain't no way. There ain't no way I'm gonna be using a high-speed steel drill, HSS, end mill, to just go in there, end mill, go to town with it, and then come out. You won't even get done with the first 12, and that end mill will break, right? So if I'm doing this with ink canal, like I said, I'm gonna do a spot drill, then I'm gonna drill down there. So I'll probably drill the size of the hole, or maybe a little bit smaller, but at the bottom is gonna create that point too, right? Because of the drill angle, whether it be 118 degrees, whether it be 90 degrees, or whatever it is, correct? Then I'm gonna come in there with my end mill and clean it up. Does that make sense? So we're just teaching you guys right now how to do the operations, but if you do it in real life at a shop, you might need to do all those operations, correct? And then on top of that, we know that we gotta make sure that our tools are where we need them at, right? Because when you're talking about live tooling, when you guys are, we haven't done the class yet, huh? The fundamentals yet? When we're doing live tooling out there, you're gonna see how there's a station in between, right?
Yeah, we talked, actually, Gabriel talked about that.
Okay. So yeah, there has to be a station in between just for clearance stuff, correct? So my tools have to match up what I have in there, right? It doesn't matter what I put in here. It could care less. And when it generates that code and it puts it out there on that machine, I gotta go through the code and I gotta make sure that my workstation, my axial end mill is matching up with my program number also. Does that make sense? So sometimes it is faster to do live tooling, but if you're doing ink canal, it's not gonna benefit you. Why? Because you're gonna need at least 3 stations, as we just talked about right now, right? You're gonna need one for center, one for your pilot hole, or one for your drill, and then one for that end mill, minimum, right? You put 3 stations on that lathe, you're basically using up how many?
6.
Minimum 6, right? And that's you putting them correctly. Might be even 7, because your tool number 1 will probably be on the other side of it, so you can't separate it. You get what I'm saying? So if you're only doing the part that's facing, turning, and doing these holes, yeah, all day long. But what happens if you have more features on this part, right? What happens if you have facing, turning, so you need a rougher, you need a finisher. Then you have OD grooving. Then you have bores, right? You're gonna have way too many tools to make it make sense for you to do live tooling there, right? So the mill guy will probably be doing these operations when you're done with it. It just depends on your situation, right? If you got one of those real high-speed machines that have 2 turrets on them, then you'll probably be good, right? If you have like a Mazak Integrax, that's basically has like it's a lathe plus a mill. So it's umbrella or it's tools, you got about, you can fit about 30 or 40 of them in there, then no problem. You're gonna knock everything out on the lathe. Why take it to the mill, right? So it's whatever you have to your capabilities. Does that make sense? Not all of us could go out there and go buy a $250,000 Mazak for our first machines, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're Antonio's dad, maybe, but we can't, right? We can't. All right, so now for this next thing, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate the point and the circles. I'm not extruding yet, right? I'm just gonna rotate them around the part itself. I like highlighting the dot and, I was still in the circle, and highlighting the circle, making them both, right? Because if I make them both, whenever I do my P-top, all I gotta do is click the point, and that's it. If I just take the circle, I still gotta make sure that I get in the center of that circle. Does that make sense?
So it really just depends on what you wanna do. If you wanna make a print with it, then you do the circle. Otherwise, if you're just doing the machining, you just do the point.
When you can't make a print with it in the screen. You can't make a print with it in the screen. Only SolidWorks. Remember, the screen doesn't do blueprints. I could do dimensioning or distance, I think it's called, and I could write down the distance that it has, but it's gonna come out in like neon green letters.
So basically, if you wanna visualize what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, if you want to more visualize than anything. But like I said, that code that you get that goes out there to the machine, them circles are unnecessary steps. Does that make sense? So it's up to you. Tomato, tomato. Alright? So now that that's highlighted, I'm gonna right click, go to copy, go to rotate. So let's talk about rotate real quick, guys. Look up here real quick. Don't just click it. Understand the function of it, right? That way, when you do it by yourself, it makes more sense. And you're not thinking, oh, what did he click? He clicked this, he clicked that, or this was empty. That's not the way to learn machining, guys. That's really not the way to learn it. Especially when we're out there on the machines, just learning what buttons we push and everything like that, that's not the way to learn. You gotta know what every button does, why it does it, right? You gotta understand the function of it. It's not just memorizing the steps, it's understanding the steps why we did that. Because you might F up in your process, right? You might, oh, it's step 1, he did this, step 2, this happened, step 3, this happened. By the time you get to step 7, if you messed up, what are you gonna do if you just remember the steps? Go back to step 1, right? But if you remember the functions and while it's doing it, you're able to troubleshoot it real quick and still get done what you need to get done because you understand the functions and you know how they work. Does that make sense? Alright, so rotate, it's gonna rotate around the part, right? If I hit move, it's just gonna move it on the actual part, correct? If I hit copy, it's gonna make copies of it, obviously, right? So if I hit copy, now this lights up, right? It was grayed out before, now you can actually type into it. So it's asking you, hey guy, how many number of copies do you want, right? So I want 3 of them, right? Because I'm gonna make 3 over.
3 more.
Yeah. So look at the total angle. Right now by default it's just 360 and 60, right? So it's pretty smart enough that if I put 3 on there, and if I just click down here, it automatically knows, hey, I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees from each other.
That's so smart.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, Spree's not doing after all.
So, if I keep use origin of rotation axis, it's gonna make it in this plane. Is that 1.5 out on Z? It's gonna make them right there, right? So if I unclick that, then I can click the axis that I wanted to rotate on, right? Did some of you guys went into that yesterday?
Yep. I did that.
And yesterday was kind of like a rush day on this because we were finishing up will.i.am's part out there, and he kind of took some time. So you guys could thank him later on. Yeah.
So I'm learning now.
All right, so I'm gonna unclick that because I want to rotate around the part, right? So I'm gonna unclick it. Now I'm gonna hit OK. Once I hit OK, it's activated, right? So it's asking me on the bottom left, select center rotation. This is like if I click line and I made a line and line stays pressed on. It's activated right now, right? If I hit escape right now, I just lost what I did with that little window. Does that make sense? So right now when they ask you, select center rotation. So I'm gonna click on my x-axis. Boom. There we go. Hit escape just to make sure you're out of it. And then click anywhere on the blue. And you're not highlighted anymore, right? Like I said earlier, guys, you cannot highlight each circle and try to extrude it. Because one's going up, the other one's going down, the other one's going this way, the other one's going that way. So it doesn't like it. And SolidWorks, you can. SolidWorks is smart enough to say, hey, you want to extrude on the part, I don't care which way it's going, you're extruding the part itself. So it's going to go into the part, no matter which direction you're going, right? But eSprit is like, nah, buddy, you need to tell me exactly where I'm going to be extruded, right?
But
I was looking at that. The only thing would be his heat, but drill a hole, put a Christmas light in there.
Alright, so hold on guys, let's finish this up just to the extrusion, and then you guys can look at that, and I'm gonna give you guys a chance to do it this any way you want it. See how much faster you can make it. Does that make sense?
we're looking at this because you were looking at your phone.
Yeah, but it's,
We were
the
killing.
army is over here texting me already.
Yeah, alright.
That's why I have to. I mean, I don't mean to during class,
I
but
don't know. Give me shit.
that and freaking lawyers. Alright, so I'm gonna highlight that circle, right? And then come over here to extrude boss and cut. So this one's already facing down, right? If I hit reverse direction, it'll go up, it'll go down. So my distance is what? 0.5, correct? I cannot forget, guys, to go to active solid and hit body 1. Because obviously you guys see that cut isn't highlighted right now, right? If I don't activate body 1. If I'm still on none, cut is still grayed out because I don't have anything to cut into, right? Once I select body 1, I'm telling it, hey, on this part that I selected, cut out of that. Does that make sense? So we want to click body 1. Now cut. And then hit OK. Boom. So we're gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of them. Too easy? Now that you guys know how to do it, go ahead and start from the beginning and do this, because this is gonna, when we draw the squares and everything else, it's pretty much the same process, right? So go ahead and start a new one and get to this point, and then we'll go over chains and everything else. All right.